All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the last leg of this tutorial. It's a bit of a big one, but it's okay. It's covering a lot and it will give you an added skill set to really start doing some stuff. So the last part of our tutorial is vector stock assets. And I downloaded one in the beginning. It was the geometrical shapes, and I actually decided to go ahead and use that in the tutorials. So you'll find this in the files that I had you download. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and open this. And I usually suggest having an open with option. Otherwise it might default to something weird if it's an EPS or SVG file. So whether you right click on it or control click on a Mac, go ahead and open it in Adobe Illustrator. It may give you a warning sign about 9-slice scaling. Don't worry about this, just hit yes. So what it does is it opens a second project here. So you can see on your tabs, you've got your regular project and then this project. And in your project, you want to go ahead and add another artboard. So remember, that's going to your artboards here and then just adding your plus signs. So you'll have 3 artboards total for this. All right. So when we get into the second project that's open, we are going to click on layers because that's going to get us into the guts of it. And you're going to see that everything's in a group right now. So you can either click on everything here or you can click on this button here to choose everything. And I'm going to go to, you can go to Object Ungroup or Shift Command or Control G. So we've ungrouped everything. And what you see is that there's a rectangle that popped down, but it didn't actually ungroup anything. And that's because it had a mask on it, which is common with these types of files. So we're going to go ahead and click on the group again, and we're going to, it's like an onion, and we're peeling the layers away. So we're going to go ahead and ungroup that again. And then you're going to truly see the group pop out and all the paths show up. So the one I'm going to have you select, well, you can really kind of just select whatever you want, but we're going to work with this one first. So I am going to look on here, and this is a group of triangles, and we need to actually make this what's called a compound path, which we will do, but not in here. We'll do it in our project. So anyways, go ahead and select this group. All you're going to do is hit Command or Control C for copy, or you can go to Edit, Copy here. You're going to come back over to your project, and you're going to hit Paste. And there it is. That's all you got to do. And this group defaulted to layer 1, so I'm going to drag that up, I guess, into layer 2. And really, we should start a new layer 3 for the third artboard. So I'm going to start a new layer. I'm going to pop that into layer 3. All right, so right now what's going on is this is a group of triangles, which is perfectly fine. But what I want to do is make this into a mask. And in order to make it into a piece of artwork that I can use as a clipping mask, I need to make this all one path. And that's actually pretty easy to do. So we're going to click the group. Again, you see it's got, within this group, there are 4 other groups, which are a bunch of triangles. So clipping this group, and then we're going to go to Object, and we're going to go to Path. No, I'm sorry. We're going to go to Compound Path. So that's right under the clipping mask. Go to Compound Path and hit Make, which is also Command or Control 8. And you're going to see that it is now a compound path. So these are no longer individual pieces of artwork in a group, but it is one group uniform together. And now we can use this to make a clipping mask. So I'm going to show you how to do that with a photograph. Now I had all these photographs in here. I'm going to have you go ahead and place the ocean one in your project. Now I didn't think the ocean one was a very good choice earlier for text, but I think it would be a good choice to use for these shapes, to use as a graphic of some kind. So I'm going to shrink this down until it's fitting over. And I'm going to kind of center it so that I get a little bit of the light blue and a little bit of the dark blue. So this is looking good. Now my photo is all the way down in layer 1 because I brought it in a long time ago. So I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to place it under. I'm going to place it under the compound path. For some reason, it's not letting me drag it down, so I'm just going to go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. So there we go. So now we're going to do our clipping mask, the cookie cutter. So we're going to choose the compound path first. We're going to Shift select the image file. Then we're going to do Command or Control 7. And there you go. That's how you can create a clipping mask out of a shape graphic. Now let's say for whatever reason you do not want this clipping mask to exist anymore. You want the clip group to disappear and you want this artwork to go back to regular triangles, and you want this file to not have a mask anymore. All you need to do is remove the clipping mask. So if you go down to clipping mask, there's make, and then there's release. So if you hit release, it will release the objects from that. And they're both selected now, so they're traveling together. And then this doesn't have a fill or a stroke right now, so you can't really see it, but I can fill it with bright yellow and you'll see it again. Okay. Anyways, so that's how you can release a clipping mask. So let's go back to layers. I'm going to go ahead and make that a mask again. So Command 7, and we're just going to set that up at the top. All right. So for right now, we're not going to use anything else in here. So you can go ahead and close that. I'm not going to save anything. And the next project that I want you to open is there is a, let's see, what do we want to do first? Let's go ahead and do the skeleton. This is an Illustrator file, so you should be able to just double click it. We're gonna say yes to the 9 scaling. You could also choose to ignore that message. So let's look at what this image has in store for us in here. It's a compound path, so it is actually just a piece of artwork by itself. This is all one piece of artwork. There aren't any groups involved with it. It's very low key. So let's bring that into our project. So we're just gonna select it. And then we're going to Command or Control copy, come on over into our project and hit paste. And we've got our skeleton. It's rather large, so we're gonna go ahead and shrink him down. Now I've got the skeleton graphic in, but I want to give it a bit of a different look. So let's go to the properties panel and figure out what's going on with this. It's got a fill of black and there aren't any strokes. It's a compound path, so that means the artwork is all contained within itself and it just simply has fill. So let's say for the look that I'm going for, I actually want the fill of this skeleton to be kind of a light, different type of color. So I'm just going to change the color there. And I also want to have the background to be a bit of a different color here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangle tool. I'm going to make a nice rectangle around the skeleton. I'm assuming that my layers, oh no, it is actually working in the right. Layer 3, I'm going to change the color, the fill to this rectangle in the back to be a lighter color. Maybe something like that. And now I've taken, so what I did is I can change the way something looks by bringing it into my project and manipulating it a different way. So the way the skeleton looks originally, it's a very, very high contrast with the background, which gives it a kind of a dark demeanor. I mean, it's a dark subject, right? It's a skeleton with like a creepy mustache, but I bring it in here, I change the fill, I make the colors a little less high contrast, and I have a more subtle creepy skeleton with mustache, okay? All right, so let's bring some other elements from a different project. So we're all done with this one. We're gonna go ahead and close that out. And let's go ahead and open the Hipster Rabbit. Now, I didn't control click and choose to open it with Illustrator, so my computer decided to open it with a application called Preview, and that's not what I want to open it with. So I need to control click or right click. Now it thinks I'm renaming it. Let's try that again. Open with Illustrator. Now, this particular graphic has a lot of options here, and you'll see this a lot in stock vectors. So I can really play dress up with my rabbit friend here if I wanted to, and change a lot of the elements here. I'm not going to do that today, but you can see the makeup of the content here in layers. You can see that there's a couple of groups going on here with the bow ties, and then everything's pretty much individual, but it's all one large group. It usually is, so an easy way to kind of wade through all that is to ungroup there. I'm going to assume this rabbit is grouped together. Oh, it's not. Okay. So really all I want to do is bring the rabbit. That's all I'm interested in terms of this. And it looks like the rabbit is not grouped by himself. And the other thing that I notice is that there's this background element, which is fine. A lot of artists do this just to set a color scheme for the potential person who wants to download this file. So what we're going to do in this situation, this rabbit's not grouped. I want to group him quickly, but I don't want to have to go through and shift select every little thing on this rabbit. So we're going to select the background rectangle you can see right here, and I'm just going to hit delete. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to marquee select the rabbit. I'm going to hit Command or Control G for group. And then this is what I'm going to copy. So I'm going to copy it, bring it over to my project, paste it, and there we go. We've got the rabbit in our project. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to change maybe the white elements to something a bit different, but I don't want to have to use my direct selection tool necessarily. So I'm actually going to go and ungroup the rabbit really quick. This can be kind of useful depending on what you're doing, is to ungroup and regroup things. So I'm going to go through and choose all the white elements. And I'm just going to pick a new color. Let's see. If I go to properties, see what that looks like. I'm not really liking any of these too well. Maybe this one. It's the first one I had. Maybe if we choose that and then, oh, his feet are there. Okay. Go ahead and fill those feet in as well. And then I think what I'll do is take this gray color and just shift selecting these and maybe change that to this pink color. So now the rabbit has a different look. I'm going to change his very fancy coat as well. Maybe to this blue. So you can bring the vector images in and really give them a completely different look. A dark blue bow tie. All right. So now our rabbit is redressed. We'll make that part of his ears white instead. And he has a whole new look. So the good thing to know about vector images is that, you know, you have what you download, but you can completely change the nature of it from one thing to another. So the last file that we're going to open up really quick is the Succulents. So I'm going to have you go ahead and open that up. And I still have my rabbit file open here, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. I don't need to save anything. And here I am with the succulents. So we're gonna zoom in, and so this is a different style of illustration. I really kind of like this style. It's just a style where there's some kind of messy, sketchy looking line work, and then you have the color that's kind of out of the lines and a little bit messy, kind of changing everything. So I'm just interested in grabbing this big one here for, I guess, what I'm doing in my pretend project in this tutorial. So let's look at the layer makeup. Most likely these are all grouped together, and they are perfect. So let's just grab the group that is the tall one. I think it's going to be the second one here. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to go copy paste, Command or Control C. Go back into my project and paste. I'm going to back that out a little bit. And then I really want to change the way that this looks altogether. First of all, I don't really like this circle in the background. So what I can do is twirl this down. And it's not really giving me a preview here. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and ungroup this. And I just realized I did not group the rabbit. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything with the rabbit, Command G, group that rabbit back together so it's all buttoned up. I'm going to come over to this group and ungroup the succulent. Now again, you like I said, could use your direct selection tool, but sometimes I find it easier just to ungroup something temporarily. Now I'm going to go in, I want to remove this back shadow, and I just realized that we still have the black group elements on top, and that's what it's selecting right now. And I really just want to get to the color elements underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually lock this group, and you can lock a group by clicking on this empty spot right next to the right of the eye up here. And now it only lets me select the color elements underneath. There we go. So now I'm getting my preview. What I really want to get rid of is this gray circle that's on the very bottom. So I'm going to get rid of that. This brown, I would like to change. It seems like it's still, let's see here. Sometimes it can get kind of strange digging into those other artworks that are, the artists group them in whatever way that they group them. But let's just go to the properties. It looks like all of these are selected still. So I'm going to go into layers, see if I can, I think it's that I need to ungroup this top group here. Let's try that. Object ungroup. Okay, good. So now the color elements are by themselves. So if I go in here and select the brown, it should just let me select the brown, and it did. So it can get kind of crazy with groups inside of groups inside of groups. There's reasons for doing that, but it can be a little crazy. And yeah, so I'm just gonna pick some new colors, and I'm gonna do something crazy, and I'm just gonna change the entire nature of the color of this artwork. Because I really need it to have a different feel for what I'm doing, let's say. I didn't grab all the green. So I'm just going to give it a totally different look. Right? So now that I've taken the green out, I've changed the color scheme to be a little softer. It's more warm and earthly tones. And this is maybe a color scheme that's going to work better for the content that I'm creating, right? For example. So there's lots of different manipulations that you can do. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and regroup this cactus now that I've done that manipulation. So I'm going to just select everything here. And I unlocked this top group layer with the black. In fact, I think I'm actually going to change the color scheme of that group. So hang on just a second. If we go to the black lines, we can actually really change how this looks. Let's just make them dark blue instead. See, it really changes the nature of the illustration. It makes it less hard, I guess. There's less contrast, it's less saturated, and that might be something that you're going for, depending on what you might need a little illustration for in regards to the content that you're creating. Okay, so we're gonna go into layers, and now I wanna group all of this back together. So I'm gonna group it back together. There's my cactus group all together again. So that is what you can do with just downloading basic vector assets and kind of changing the nature of them, copying and pasting what you need out of a project, another person's project to use in your project. It might feel like, in a way, you're not creating your own artwork, I guess, for a feature, you know, or some design work that you're doing, but it depends on what you're doing. I mean, sometimes it's important that the illustrations are, you know, created by an artist and made specifically for something, but honestly, a lot of content out there is usually using stock imagery and stock vectors because it's a time thing, and it depends on who the client is, and if the client doesn't bother them that this is used, you know, you always want to credit the artist if it's a professional, something that's been professionally published to the world. But so credit the artist for sure, even if it says no attribution, it's just a nice thing to do. But, you know, you don't always have time to create everything yourself. And maybe you're not an illustrator, you're, you know, curating, you're writing something and you need to post and you need a little illustration to help the content, help visualize your subject matter. So, all right, so what we're gonna do, you should have 3 artboards, one that focuses on text and color, one that focuses on using masks and some photo imagery, kind of mimicking, not exactly what I did, you can do it in your own way, or exactly what I did, and then one taking the, you know, parts of the vector projects that I had for you to download and manipulating those in some way, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to File, Save As, Adobe PDF, Color and Stock Assets, or whatever you wanna call it. I'll put it onto the desktop and go ahead and save it, save PDF. Okay, you're gonna wanna save your project. Probably should have saved it before export. And then you're going to have a, whoops, just a moment. You are going to have a PDF file like so that has 3 pages featuring those. And that is the file that you're going to turn in for this tutorial, okay? All right, it was a big one. We covered a lot, but you should be feeling a lot more confident now between round 1 and round 2, and we're gonna get into creating some artwork here down the road very soon. All right? Okay, everybody. Bye.